Didn't I meet you on a summer cruise?
So tell me, honey, was it you that shrunk the Tucson? Well, actually, no one shrunk anything. Matter of fact, this beautiful little Hyundai in 2023 Santa Cruz, they say it's based on the Tucson. I don't know who they is. You know, it's this they you hear they say. They're everywhere. It says it's based on the Tucson, but I'll tell you what, this particular mini pickup type utility vehicle, if you will, has a 10-inch longer wheelbase than Hyundai Tucson SUV. So does that mean it's kind of maybe closer to the Santa Fe? It has the Santa Fe, one of the engines offered in the Santa Fe, which is the 2.5 liter turbocharged engine. But I kind of think the more I deal with this vehicle, it's loosely based on the Tucson, and it kind of goes its own way, which is kind of cool. If you look at it from this angle right here, it does look like we're talking a chop job, sort of, but not really. They would have had to chop off the back end to make a little pickup truck and then extend it. And maybe that's what they did, I don't know, but I choose to look at it this way. It's using the same platform. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. It uses the same basic platform that the Tucson does, but it's this is a whole different animal and a very useful one. One of the things that the Hyundai folks did was when they designed this vehicle, they decided to like pull out all their creative stops and make it as utilitarian as possible, meaning it has a lot of user-friendly functional items on it that it's kind of like a Boeing 777 that's flying right over me right now. Can you see that up there? Look at the size of that thing, boy. Anyway, they've done a great job with making this vehicle useful, I'll put it this way, especially like, oh, I don't know, it's maybe a small farm truck. What do you guys think about that over here? Oh, they're in conclave, so, or Intmoot. They're doing one of those things. But let's look at right away, before we look at anything else. Here's our dampened tailgate. See, it floats down very easily. You got this composite material protecting everything. And then you got your built-in tonneau woohoo cover. And in addition to that, you got this. It's kind of ridgeline-y. You got your tub right here that has all your space on here. Little, not huge, but I imagine it looks like you got some drain plugs. You could put some ice in here and ice down some things like your salmon that you just caught. But again, this, that, and the other thing are all accounted for in this vehicle to make it as useful as possible and to utilize the bed is fairly small, but you can do a lot with it. I mean, really, they've done a nice job. Ugh. That's beautifully dampened. It weighs nothing. And look at here, by the way, Toyota. Look, I'm gonna show you something. When the tailgate's down like this, you got this beautiful place to put your foot to get up in here. Yeah, you see? You see? Thunders don't have that, and it makes me really angry. But here we got the composite covers the whole thing. Then you got these sliding deck rails here that have your or excuse me, they're down yonder, right in here, so you can slide and brace your cargo down using strappage, which is always good. Highly recommended to use your strappage. So there we go. And the tonneau cover, like I said, that's not an option basically. That's part of the whole kit. It is designed for you to use right out of the box. So there we go. There's your Santa Cruz with your 2.5 turbo engine. Let's look closer into that engine compartment, shall we? Because to be honest, it's one of Hyundai's finest. Welly well, how about 281 horsepower at 5,800 RPM for your, this is a 2.5 liter Smart Stream. I like the name, isn't that great? A 2.5 liter turbocharged Smart Stream inline 4. And I love the way this particular turbocharged engine is laid out because it's very, very straightforward and easy to follow. What's our torque numbers while I'm talking about stuff? Here, I'll come around here and 311 pounds of foot-pounds of torque between 1,700 RPM all the way up to 4,000 RPM. So low-end torque, check, yes. That's where your, if your torque peak is that flat and wide, which turbocharging often gives you, that's great. That's a beautiful thing. So what we have here, 1, 2, 3, 4, see, Smart Stream. There's our basic inline configuration, mounted transversely as is common practice, with massive smoothing motor mount right there. But here's what's interesting to me, how straightforward this is. On the back side is our exhaust manifold and our turbocharger. And the cool side of the turbocharger is right here. Because what we have here is we have air going into the turbocharger right along this here. And then it goes through the turbocharger. The exhaust side of it spins the impeller compresses the air, and then the air goes this way, right down here on this thing. And right down in there is that intercooler that I saw earlier. It's right there. And at the bottom of the intercooler, the gimbal freaks out. Well, whoa, hey, oh, hang on. There we go. Whew, you dizzy? Sorry about that. You know, if you clap your hands right in front of you, that dizziness will go away. Pink taught us that. Then it comes through the bottom of the intercooler and directly into your fuel injection system, which is mounted right up front here. Woo, there we are. So, you see what we got here? Air going out, going to the turbocharger. Air comes back, goes through the intercooler. At the bottom of the intercooler, then comes into your injection system, your gasoline direct injection, also called your GDI. So very straightforward, easy to follow on this car. That's how it's doing things. There's your air box for your primary air source. So that's how that works, and that's how it gets all that boost. And if you're interested in checking your oil, look at the size of this orange. This, you know what? There's a guy, his name will not be disclosed on this program because I right offhand I don't know what it is, but he does a great YouTube channel called I Do Cars. And he talks about, he basically does detective work to figure out why various engines blow up, because basically all of them you can find a sample somewhere of just about any engine that blew up at some point. But he's always talking about the fact that so much of this could be avoided if people just check their oil to make sure they have oil in the engine. Because oil starvation, it will kill anything. Well, look, you can't miss that right there. It's just right there, orange, bang, easy. There you go, no problem. I think they did that just for him, actually. But this is a real nice little power plant, and it's always interesting when you look at your peaks, your torque peak versus your horsepower peak, because your horsepower peak is pretty much always higher. So you can't hit both peaks at the same time on most of these engines, which is absolutely fine, because you need your torque more than any other time down low when you're just pulling away. So there you go. A couple other notes. As you can see, this is the limited version of the Santa Cruz, so it's got lots of insulation to keep it quiet, and the thing weighs a lot, this hood. So it is my belief it's not made out of aluminum. I think it's probably made out of steel, which will make some of you happy and others go, eh. And for those that go, yeah, I can just tell you that pretty soon everything's going to be made out of aluminum until they come up with some other new metallic, some kind of a strange alloy that we haven't seen before that probably comes from Mars, and that'll replace aluminum. So you got that to look forward to. We got that looking ahead of us, and that'll make us happy. Now, transmission, it's your 8-speed automatic transmission, which looks very similar to the one that was in the Santa Fe. But of course, the Tucson also has an 8-speed automatic. So what's borrowed from what? Where did it come from? Well, they all come from transmission land, which is just outside of Seoul in South Korea. So there you go. Now here's something of note. This comparatively compact little vehicle has 20-inch wheels on it. Those are big suckers. And our standard kit here is a Michelin. I can't tell right offhand which it is, but it is an all-terrain, not all-terrain, an all-season tire. It's a Primacy. Which one is it? Which Primacy are you? LTX. There you go. It's a Primacy LTX, which is a fine tire. I mean, Michelin makes good tires, as you know. And it's got a pretty sizable brake disc rotor on there. And the brakes seem absolutely fine to me. But I'm distracted because this is what gets me. You got this little plastic thing here, and there you got your little car. Right there, there's your little Santa Cruz. Right there, it's just little. So in case you forget what you're driving, which some of us do, it's right there, you'll see it by your tire. When you're rotating your tires, you will find out, oh my God, I'm driving a Santa Cruz. All right, let's have a look at our wonderful dash arrangement. Now what we have here, oh wait a minute, you know what I don't hear? We have to go to setup, and we have to go to, where is it? Voice recognition, general? Is that where it is? No, it's not any of this stuff. Let's go back to setup. Vehicle. Well, let's try that. Cluster. Well, let's start with cluster. Let's start there. This is important. What we have is a theme selection for our cluster, and right now, this is the default position for the most part. It's completely virtual, and I don't really like the white background with the white tinged needles on there. I personally don't find it as easy to read as a lot of things. So if I go to my theme selection here, I could link it to drive mode or disconnect it to drive mode. And this is Classic A. We'll go to Classic B. Now to me, that's a whole lot more legible. And it's also the one that goes with your sport mode. And if we go down here to Classic C, we got this one here, which has got kind of like a green tinged. The Classic A with the white background on these gauges, I don't know, it just doesn't, I'm not simpatico with it, I'll put it that way. But if you link it to the drive mode, like so, we are currently in normal as far as our drive mode is concerned. And where is that switch for that damn thing? There, over here, mode.
It's Faraday.
No, that's the radio. We don't need that. Sound, whoa, absolute sounds of nature. Go back. There we go. Can you hear that? All right. So that's where we should be. Sounds of nature. And now, if I want to take the instrument cluster and link it, which I have done, to the drive mode, and then I want to change my drive mode, Where is the switch to do that? It's gotta be right here, right? I'm looking. I've dealt with it before. I'll find it. It's somewhere. But I really enjoy it. That's a bit too much nature. There we go. I love these Hyundais. I love that so much. In the center we have our trip computer type device, and with it you'll find you have a bunch of different selections. There's your compass. Now here's your drive system that tells you, since this is an all-wheel drive Santa Cruz, it will tell you which wheels you're cruising in, basically, and will vary that based on the traction situation. Or you have this thing right here, that's your lock switch. You can lock the front and rear wheels together. In other words, lock out the center differential so that you have as much four-wheel drive capability as you're going to get. There's our air pressure, and as usual, oh, we have two that are not in agreement. That's unusual. Means nothing. It's fine. It's fine. It's just fine. So, what else do we have? Attention level's normal, but I know your attention's waning. I can sense it. Then we have basically your, this is a primary display for your adaptive cruise control that'll tell you there's a vehicle in front of you and what's going on with that. And that's all of that. Since refueling, we've gone 139.3 miles, and our average miles per gallon is 22, which is not great for such a small vehicle, but what are you going to do? That's what it is. We'll check and see what it is permanently. But anyway, those are your selections here in your little trip computer in between your currently mode-based drive system. And if we migrate on over to our center stack where all the action is, here we have the thing I was just going through, and here's our map. And as you can see, it's a very wide format Lawrence of Arabia landscape. Situation, as opposed to a portrait. It's a little low in the dash, which I'd prefer it like up about here, but you know, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with any of these things? I mean, it is as it is, and if you like it, drive it and buy one. But for me, I wish it was a little bit higher, but then again, where do you put the upper air conditioning vents? So, you know, it's a dilemma. They all face it. And here's like your basic control interface area right here. And then we have your climate control situation, which is, oh, hi there. Get out of the way here. And look at all the wonderful settings you have. Pretty much normal for everything. It's zone-based with your passenger side and your driver's side. Let you choose what you want. We go south, and we find our USB. We can plug in right here, and our QI is currently charging this little telephone right here. There you go. Very easy to use with a case on, not a problem at all. Just plop it in there and it works. I love that. We get to our conventional mechanical shifter here. You see, there we go. And to the left, what do we have? Children, you in the back? Yes, that's our sport mode. And you have selector. You can up and back your 8-speed dual clutch transmission that way, or you can use the paddles. Very, very normal. You've seen this a million times, and it's a very, very easy and effective way of doing things. Here we have a bunch of lovely things. We have our seat ventilation, we have our seat heating, and we have our steering wheel heating, which, believe me, when it was 4 degrees the other day, I used that, and it was most welcome, most welcome. Now here, in the realm of serious fun, here's our camera array, and you have your 360 camera over here, and you got your rear camera here, which you can do all kinds of things with. You can modify things. This is your side cameras, so you have your left side and your right side. So that this is good when parking. This is good off-road. It just has a million excellent functions. These 360-degree camera arrays, and then you have further selections as far as what you can do with the way your actual rear image is projected, and give you all kinds of stuff that's useful. There's what I wanted. So there we got that. Not bad, huh? All right, and then we have our hill descent control right here, and our auto hold, which of course is a braking thing if you're on a hill and you don't want to roll backwards, that kind of thing. It will hold the brakes for you. And I'm not sure if that actually, oh, there's our drive mode thing. Now, why did I have trouble finding that? I don't know, but see, if I toggle it and go into Smart, Sport is red. Sport is always red. Normal is the white that I'm not real crazy about. And then Smart is, well, it's real similar to normal, actually. And then Snow is also basically the same thing. So there's not a lot of variety there, and I don't see an eco mode anywhere. Which is surprising. I've seen that on a couple of cars lately. They almost always have an eco mode, which is designed to, it does all kinds of things. It does a little bit with engine response so that it's more gradual. Because the biggest way you can save fuel is how you take off and slow down. In other words, when you leave a stop, if you just obviously floor it, you're going to lose a lot of fuel down the pipe. But if you do it more gradually, well, the car actually, when you're on an eco mode in any car, it actually helps you do that more gradually in order to use less fuel. But there is no eco mode, so you don't need to be worried about that here. So what else? What else? Well, we have very nice trim on our leather upholstery, and it is, again, ventilated and heated and very comfortable. And your front seat room and everything else is like it is on just about everything these days. The front seat passengers never have an issue with room unless you're unusually tall. And this one's got a lot of headroom, and you got your beautiful sunroof up there. And this being the limited version of the Santa Cruz, you know, it's very nicely finished. Would you like to see the back? Of course you would. Let's go. All right, now let's see here. We're looking at about 80 something degrees in your degree of opening. Access is very easy, and you got quite a bit of headroom here. The windows go down all the way. Yay! Always a good thing. Now, my front seat's back quite a bit, but not completely, I don't think. And you just have enough leg room for somebody that's 5 foot 8 inches tall. Not me, but someone else. And here we have some more of our USB modes here. Ports. Then we have a very slight drive shaft tunnel, very slight. You won't even notice it. So if you do put 3 people back here, the person in the middle won't have to splay their legs. What else? What else? We got a central map. We don't have individual maps, I don't believe. No, it's just a central map. And how is the most desired thing of all? Wait a minute, how's this work? How do I do this? How do I do this? As you can see, as he struggles to find a way to lower the armrest, there is no armrest. There is no armrest, so I'm very sad about that. You know how I feel about my armrest. But you do have extremely convenient cup holders right there. And the birds like it. But like I say, room is pretty good. The rake of the rear seat is a little upright, but not bad. I've certainly seen a lot worse, especially on compact pickup types. Now, what else do we have here? Well, we do have the ability to pull this thing up right here and flip this up, and we have storage bin. Hello, storage bin. How are you? And that's, oops. Let me see if I can, there we go. And do we have any kind of other, do we have one on the other side? I believe we do. I'm not going to check it because why? And we also have the world's smallest, look at that, it's so small. Hello there. You can get a kitten through there. if you need to do that, which some of you do, I know, need to get your kitten from the back of the truck to the front. But there's our Spacosity. It's quite good for such a, I mean, is it based on the Tucson? Is it based on the Santa Fe? Yes, it's based on all these things. But the most important thing of all is this little logo right here. That's what means the most and what you buy this vehicle for. That thing right there. Oh, do you know the rugged man? I'll tell you what, Santa Cruz may be a very kickback sort of town, but this little vehicle right here is showing it can handle a little bit of the roughness of life. It's funny, this vehicle, this Santa Cruz is a little sort of a pickup truck kind of thing, and it does seem to have real good ground clearance. And it also seems to offer a commanding view of the world ahead. And I'm telling you, I'm really warming to this thing, considering I've driven it all of about 200 yards. It's a good first impression, though. We have a little bit of activity in our engine compartment going on, and incidentally, I need to tell you about the weather, because the weather's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. My traction control just came on for reasons I have no idea why, but it did. Maybe it was anticipating something. The weather outside is frightful, and the wood stove is so delightful, but it's not really that time of year as far as the holidays. It's well past that, but we do have some very cold temperatures. 16 degrees is what this is saying. But the thing that's really interesting is we have this hellish wind coming out of your northwest, west-northwest, I would say. And it's going to be a good, since this thing feels really tall, and that's one of the reasons it feels really off-road capable, is because it has kind of a upward stance to it that is going to imply some rugged activity. Would be not out from, not like going real past its remit, if you know what I mean. I think you could actually take this thing a ways off-road. We're gonna poke around underneath and see what kind of a suspension situation that we have. It's full-time all-wheel drive, but it does have a locking center differential. So like most vehicles like this, and I think this is pretty sure it's based on the Tucson, either the Tucson or the Santa Fe chassis. It has, normally you're in front wheel drive for most of your driving chores, but the moment slippage is detected, you can pop into all-wheel drive automatically without even thinking about it. And we also have an excellent downhill braking control system, also known as a descent control system. Trying to find stuff. I just got in this car, literally. I usually have a degree of methodology, but the fact of the matter is you're on an emergency run with me, because I have to go get some medication for one of our animals that I ordered 5 days ago, and she ran out today, but they just called me and said, oh, it finally came in today. So a little closer than I'd like to cut it, but we're going there now to take care of business. Now what we're going to do now is put on our cruising control, and we're set. Now can we steer? We're going to put the steering on. Now how does it do in the high wind? Whoa, well, we're going to find out. Yes indeed. I will say one thing, that seat heaters work excellent. As you can see, we have a little bit of quivering going on. Now here's something that often throws these things into it's going over the right lane, now it's going to the center, now it's going to the right, now it's going to go to the right lane and stay there. Huh, interesting. If I didn't know better, I'd say it's learned since the last Hyundai I drove. That's a tricky spot right there for the vehicle to determine which way to go, and it did fine, did good actually. But anyhow, where was I? I was looking for driving modes. And I don't see, there we go, mode, that's probably a stereo. Yep, it is. Sounds of nature. Oh, yes, let's do that. Hang on, we're doing sounds of nature now.
Then you were.
No, sounds of nature. Sounds of nature.
You know where
Oh dear. There we go. We're there. There we got some crickets. If you've seen any of my Hyundai type reviews before, you know how I love sounds of nature. I mean, well, what more do you want in your car? You can cast aside the music of man and listen to the music of nature. Yeah, I'll tell you, them crickets are going crazy out there. And so, considering how cold it is, I'm impressed with these crickets. These are die-hard crickets. These are crickets that will take no quarter. Now, do we have a button hint? There it is. I knew there was a drive mode button. That's what I wanted to look at. So we have snow, smart, sport. Woo! What just happened with sport? Went crazy. And then normal. Normal's where we're at. But I almost, I wonder if I can probably select these particular smart. I wonder what smart does. I can probably select a particular configuration to my instrument cluster regardless of what the actual drive mode is, I'm assuming. Man, it is really windy. And this car, just like the last car I drove, has real problems reading from a steering standpoint when you have the automatic steering on, or the lane centering, or the lane tracing, with these lines that are worn out in the middle, this double yellow line in the middle. It has a real hard time seeing it. And this is not the only car I've driven recently that has not had that problem. It's something about this particular stretch and this particular paint situation. Now it's doing all right. Now I can see it. And it's steering just fine. Oh dear, what do we have? We need this on auto. There we go. But anyway, these things can be very touch and go sometimes, because you got to remember, in this particular land of adaptive cruise control / lane centering, it's all done visually. It's literally using cameras to tell it how to steer the car. And that's, you know, as you well know, nothing can be more misleading than visual imagery. And when you have things like all these shadows here, I mean, look at the strength of the shadow of the power line on the road right here. That could be something that's actually influencing it. And I'm sure during the process of development, they probably went through all these kind of things. I see my destination ahead. Deactivating cruise control, deactivating lane centering. But anyway, I'm sure they've gone through a hell of a lot of scenarios trying to get this dialed in perfectly, and they'll get it eventually, as perfect as it can be. But nothing is as good as your own eyesight when it comes to these things. You can see further ahead. You can also use basic intuition on your part. And here we come. We're at the veterinary. Hello, veterinary! I'll be back with you in just a little while. Well, here's a good time to peruse our sticker, because our sticker is always important to us. And we have here your limited Santa Cruz, which is pretty much loaded. There's not, the only option I have on this vehicle is a carpeted floor mat for $195. So your grand total is in fact $41,810, and that's quite a bargain. Fix that. We have in fact got medication for one of the cattle dogs, as she requires it. So we will go back out into the wind now. We are getting like gusts from you. Oh boy, I'm gonna follow this truck that's blowing up. Got a blown motor, seconds away. We're gonna keep our distance from that blown motor feller. Now our sounds of nature are in fact, I'm gonna turn her all the way up. We have sounds of nature. Now see here, I don't know if you can see that, but boy, we got some strong gusty winds. And we are going to go full cruise boat here and see how we do. We've got all manifestation of automatic control, self-driving technology that has been just now activated. And boy, we got it. We're following. I want to change that following distance. How do I do that? There it is. There we go. I don't want to get too close to Mr. Blowing Engine Man. Now it seems to me that if he's going to blow his motor, he's going to do it on the hill, going up it and not going down it, because that's just the way these things happen. As the crickets circle me, I can hear them. I wonder who the first person was that came up at the engineering meeting or the design meeting and said to the Hyundai engineers, sounds of nature. And everyone looks at him and goes, what? And he goes, let's put it in the car. So we have that option. You can listen to the radio, you can listen to nothing at all, or you can listen to sounds of nature. Now this, in a way, this is what a lot of people would consider to be an activity vehicle, in that it's designed to suit, let's say, an active lifestyle. You have some ground clearance, some all-wheel drive, and a pickup bed where it used to be the rest of a Tucson or something like that. But it has a, I'll check that. I probably have already mentioned it, what the payload of this vehicle is, but it's actually, I believe, real close to what any full-size half-ton pickup can haul weight-wise, I think. You got to remember, though, we're in this situation these days where so much of our weight capacity is taken up by the fact that every one of these vehicles has 4 doors. Instead of being a 2-door or even a, oh boy, he's blowing his motor. Yep. That's like a white blue smoke. That's got to be oil. And I don't see any exhaust pipe. It's actually, well, anyway. The fact of the matter is, this is a vehicle that is more substantial than you might think from looking at it, in that it can actually haul quite a bit. And the versatility of the pickup bed with all its various tubs and having that nice solid, as part of the standard package, that great tonneau cover, tawny cover, that bed cover. See, this guy's getting blown into me, and then I'm getting blown over there, and it's just total chaos thanks to this wind. Total chaos. But this thing's doing a good job at steering through the chaos. The gusty winds don't seem to bother it all that much. Boy, that guy's got, I mean, does he know that he's basically putting out more oil than a super tanker, more smoke and pollution than a massive, he's turning off. Does he realize there's a problem? Probably not. Yeah, our steering is very active right now because of the wind gusts, but it's doing a good job. I cannot really complain. It's on duty. I'll put it that way. It's focused on trying to keep me in the lane no matter what. This is a good system. This is not bad. Hyundai and Kia both, since they are part of the same family, I think have done real good work with both their adaptive cruise control and this lane centering. It's actually better than some cars that cost a lot more. And that's literally whoever does their development and writes the algorithms and stuff and has been hard at work has done a good job. It's getting better all the time. I still think these things, it's like any other tool in the toolbox. You have to learn how to use it, and where you can and where you can't, and where it is a benefit to you and where it is actually not. Because there's times when you might be tempted to use it and it's really not the best thing in the world for you to use. Now, how's the ride quality? It's exactly what you'd think by this tall stance and this little pickup truck demeanor. Is it's firm and solid feeling, but it does not punish. Overall, I'd say it's quite good. And hopefully, during my tenure with this, I'll have the opportunity, I'll put some stuff in the back, some weighty things. I want to do that, just to see if it changes dramatically the weight. You got to remember, it's kind of a rule of thumb. The lighter the vehicle that's doing the hauling, the more it is affected by the cargo it's carrying, in terms of sheer tonnage. So if you got your little old rowboat and you put in your 1,000-pound safe, it's going to adversely affect handling of your rowboat. Whereas if you're in a nice dive boat, you know, like a Boston whaler, whoo boy, that's what I want. Anybody, you know, if I had a Patreon, I'd just say, screw that, just buy me a Boston whaler so I can go diving in it. We'll work together on this. I'll outfit it. I'll tell you exactly the specs, what I need, but how did I get on that subject? I don't know. But anyway, it really does make a difference. And it's especially critical when it comes to towing. You want a heavier, more substantial vehicle if you're going to haul a whole lot of stuff. However, there's been a lot of progress made with getting the right kind of assembly and structural design into vehicles that weigh a lot less and yet still have very impressive payload capacity. And you can load them up and they still handle pretty damn good, and the suspension can handle it fine. Most people with a vehicle like this, in my opinion, won't be maxing it out very often, but it can carry quite a bit of stuff. If you're a person that, like, for example, let's say you're some kind of a craftsperson, and you're doing something where you don't need, I mean, the current thing is with a lot of carpenters I see is they like to bring their entire shop with them. So they have a double-wheel trailer with every tool they own in it, and they tow it to wherever the job site is and work out of that trailer. But that trailer weighs 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 pounds because of all the tools that are heavy. So if you're not hauling that kind of stuff in a vehicle like this, but you do have quite a few tools, you got a lot of room back there, and it's lockable space, and there's many advantages to that. And there we got our, can you see that? That's a Hyundai thing that I still say they borrowed from Honda, which shows you the left side. When you have a round camera system, a 360 camera system, they use that to check your blind spot when you're turning left. And it is actuated when you use your turn signal. Now, if you're one of these yahoos that never uses your turn signal, you are not going to be able to take advantage of this fine technology. Shame on you. You know, the thing about the technology is that it can vex and confuse. But I think that's one of the reasons I'm so attracted to the mechanical side of things. That's why I like this Santa Cruz, because it has a very interesting underside, mechanically speaking, but it also vexes and confuses me. I see ground clearance that jingle, jangle, jingles. What do we have here? What we have here is the rear suspension on our Santa Cruz. Our Santa Cruz that can haul 1,411 pounds, which means that this rear suspension must be pretty substantial, yeah? And it is. As you can see, it's fully independent, and you got your multi-link situation here with this link up here going into that subframe and that thing. This looks real familiar to me. Now, where have we seen this before? If you've seen this exact suspension on one of my videos, well, good for you. Thank you for watching. Here's our temporary spare tire, by the way, right here. And here is our rear differential and our rear drive shafts right there. So what you have, whenever you have a situation where you have a unibody construction like this is, and then you have a kind of what we would call a high payload capacity requirement, you have these subframes that are built all through here that you attach the rear suspension components onto. And look at these rear shocks. Aren't they impressive? They're huge. Huge. They look like air shocks. Are they? I don't believe so. But man, they are not small. Those are serious shock absorbers right there. And some pretty stout looking coils. And all these links here look like they're very, very well engineered to handle a pretty serious payload. So, you know, it's not just an SUV that they cut open to have a pickup bed on. It looks like it's actually pretty substantial here. And you got your covers here to aid in your aerodynamics a little bit. Up front you can see you have a fairly good array of skid plates. And this here, I think that's your gas tank, because it looks like it's got a hose going to it from the filler. So that must be your gas tank right there. And on either side up there is basically just a valence covering up God knows what. You'd think almost, well, that must be the batteries for the hybrid system, but this doesn't have one, so that's not what that is. And look at this little old drive shaft here. Isn't that cute? That's a nice little spinning drive shaft right there to your rear. So unlike, what is it that we just had recently? I just had something recently. It was a hybrid. It was a Toyota. It had all-wheel drive, and the rear system was completely separated mechanically from the front system. Well, this one is old traditional way of doing things with your physical link, i.e. the drive shaft, to the front drivetrain and back here. And this electric motor right here, I'm sure, has something to do with disconnecting and connecting your rear drive system, and especially since you can lock it into the front drive system completely under really slippery conditions to give you maximum amount of traction. So there you go. Well done, Santa Cruz. Well, gee, we did not actually meet on a summer cruise. We met in a Santa Cruz, and this is a pretty good little vehicle. I have to say I had a lot of fun with it, and I find it impressive that they've put a real solid little truck underneath this very attractive body. And for some people, this is going to be a real good choice for you if you need to haul some stuff. You guys take it easy out there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.